Radio to open a doorway to healing and embodied purpose, helping you move from self-doubt to self-love and from confusion to clarity. Explore more at theawakenedpath.com.
Inside the Mind of Hiring with me, Dr. Mickey Feinberg, is a must-listen for hiring managers, HR pros, and job seekers. Tune in to...
You are listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I awakened with wolves. When I met a real wolf, it talked to me the same way that I'm talking now, and the wolves taught me to read the energy of the heart. I can intuitively hear plants, animals, and people, and I became an intuitive healer and writer as a result. You can find me at onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com. Today we have a very interesting psychic here today, and she's going to help you with developing your gifts, and we'll talk about all kinds of fascinating things. So this is Dallisa Hocking. Let me tell you about her. She's a fifth-generation psychic medium, known for her bold, striking, accurate predictions about world events, U.S. affairs, and personal trajectories. She predicted a major health crisis in 2019, just before the pandemic, foresaw the tragic helicopter and airplane crash in Washington, D.C. before it occurred in early 2025, accurately called the outcome of the most recent U.S. presidential election, and sensed a significant event unfolding on January 1st, 2025, the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion. Her work blends psychic mediumship, intuitive coaching, energy mastery, and spiritual teaching. She helps people raise their intuition to a higher point, improve frequency, which is your overall vibration, improve self-worth, release fear, and connect with their soul's wisdom. She's known for cutting through energetic noise, thank God, and offering clarity, truth, and empowerment during important life moments. Trained by world-renowned teachers such as Tony Robbins, Dr. Raymond Moody, Hollister Rand, John Holland, Richard Knight, and Lee Harris, Dallisa weaves ancient intuitive wisdom with grounded modern-day personal development. She's certified in the Lee Harris Energy Mastery Advanced Tarot and has completed programs with Cornell University and Goldman Sachs. Her content has reached more than 10 million views and a community of 250K followers across digital platforms. She's appeared on over 30 podcasts, bringing practical tools to global audiences. Whether forecasting what's ahead for the collective or helping individuals discover the power of their gifts, Dallisa remains a compassionate voice for spiritual awakening and energetic transformation. Welcome, Dallisa. I'm so glad to have you today.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the introduction, and yeah, what a wild time we live in. So I'm looking forward to our conversation.
That's why I said I was glad you cut through the noise. So one of the topics you like to speak about is psychic development and intuition. So how can anyone access and grow their intuitive abilities?
Great question. Yeah, I think we all have access to it. I think first we have to decide that we want to access it. I think we have to have that thought that, yes, this is something that I want to do, but you also have to believe that you can do it. Because if you don't believe you can, you get to be right. So if the thought is, who am I to be able to get information, or gosh, spirit or the universe would never be talking to me, well, then it'll close down that connection. Uh, I think of our intuition and our psychic abilities like a frequency scale. Some could think of it as like a dial on a radio. But the higher we get our own personal frequency, the closer we actually get to source energy's frequency. And that brings in more information. So, doing things that help with our overall well being, like eating better, sleeping better, taking really good care of ourselves, connecting with nature, all of those things raise our frequency. So, the more we do that, it's actually easier to tap into source energy and that information. But if we are lower on the frequency scale, and maybe we're having a lot of anger, a lot of guilt, a lot of shame that we're experiencing, those things can lower the frequency and make it so that we don't get as much intuition or direct access. I'm hearing in my ear psychically as I'm saying that out loud. Spirit wants me to also mention that grief can also lower the frequency, because there are likely some people listening right now that are in a state of grief. They've lost somebody that they've loved and still love, and that grief is lowering the frequency, and they're wondering to themselves, well, how do I get a sign from the other side? Like, why am I not hearing the things that I thought I was going to hear? And I would say to them, based on the insight I'm getting, is that it is supposed to be this journey of grief that is unfolding naturally, and not to put any pressure on yourself to get out of that state of grief. But you may find that once you do emerge from grief, that you may get more of these signs that you're looking for from the other side. So yeah, intuition is awesome. I think it's our superpower, and we all have access
One
to it.
thing I've really seen about grief is that often when people are on the other side, they're actually thinking about you and sending love, but you take it as, oh, I'm so sad they're not there. So one of the ways I've dealt with that is to say, I know you're trying to send me love and I'm not receptive to it right now. Let me have some more time. I know you're there. Thank you for communicating with me. I just need to manage it better before I get messages.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah, and
lovely.
that helps a lot.
Mhm.
That was for me personally. The other thing I think people can do for psychic development is to think about doing things that make you feel better, which you already said. You went through that. I would say meditate if all you're doing is just sitting there in the light and feeling the sunlight come in with you. And all of the best moments in our lives, although some people don't believe this, they occur when we're connected to our higher self and we're on a higher vibration. So everybody's had one peak moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think, as you said, sitting in the sun and receiving that light, we don't have to overcomplicate it. But you're right. I tell all of my psychic development students, like, you have to meditate. It's kind of a non-negotiable. Uh, and even if it means you don't have earphones on and you're riding your bicycle in nature and you're just enjoying that, that's meditating in motion. But we have to have some kind of meditation, I think, in order to really bridge between us and the higher power and
Well,
creator.
what you said about all the noise, right now you almost have to have it to block out the noise.
Yeah,
It,
definitely. It's very kind of chaotic in the collective energy with everything that's going on in the world, but I do think it ends up leading us somewhere better after we get through the chaos. But yeah, there's so much noise that I even tell people, like, if you go on walks right now, maybe don't listen to your music or the podcast that you're listening to in your earphones. Take it off. Like, just allow, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes, just
yeah,
to be
that's
able to
plenty.
take in. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and you can tell when it's working because you'll notice the birds or a deer will come out of nowhere. All of a sudden you'll think, oh, that tree is so beautiful. You move into the beauty of it.
Yeah, I have something that happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was out in my own neighborhood and I got to the back of my neighborhood and realized there was a waterfall there that I had never seen before. It's like, how did I miss this? But it's because there's so much noise going on.
Hmm. And because you were connected, the waterfall showed itself to you
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
a mutual.
Hmm.
When we're thinking a tree is beautiful, the tree may think we're beautiful.
Hmm.
Okay,
Exactly. I love that.
so what is the biggest mistake that people make when trying to become intuitive?
I think it's the mistake that they don't think they can.
Right.
And it because I've seen that over and over again. I'd say most of the roadblocks that I see in my students, 90% of the time is they don't think they can. And when we really take a look at it and drill down, it usually comes down to they don't think that they're worthy. And so if you're embarking on this journey of wanting to get even louder intuitive messages or develop psychic gifts, then you have to have the confidence, I think, that you can do it and that you're accurate. Now, somebody may say, well, how do I know if I'm accurate? And so the easiest thing I think to do is to practice on strangers and not the person you walk up to in the grocery store, but find a community. So whether it's on Facebook or if somebody that you like has an online community, I have a Discord group, like find somebody that you align with and go into their community and maybe ask the person first if that's okay. But you can post in there and say, can I practice on three people? And we're going to do it over, let's say, Facebook Messenger. And all I need is a photo of your face and your first name. And I'm going to tune into your energy and I'm going to see what I get. And then you can do that over direct message. You don't necessarily have to get on the phone or on Zoom or anything to practice. But the only way you're going to know if you are getting intuitive messages or psychic downloads is if you give a stranger a message that's coming through and they give you feedback on it, because then you start to notice like how spirit is communicating with you and you'll start to notice the subtleties of how that information comes through. So I think the easiest, best way to do it is to practice on someone you don't know.
And then there's some simple things you can do day to day. Like I tell my students, notice when it's a good time to go out when you won't encounter traffic and you'll get straight through lines wherever you go. And everybody can do that one.
Mhm.
There's just
Yes,
a really easy thing like lifting weights, starting with, a half a pound of weight.
yes. And there's like fun ways that you can engage with the energy using your example, which I love, is you can ask spirit to move all of the traffic out of the way and then watch you just kind of like effortlessly glide through the traffic. And so you can kind of play with the energy and ask, maybe in the morning for an intention of something that you want to show up that day. I haven't done it in a while and I should, but I used to intend and say it throughout the day. The universe loves sending me free things. And it wasn't so much that I needed free things, it was because I wanted to see what the universe was going to bring along my pathway. And
Hmm.
so anybody can use that one. I remember I was getting a massage one day and I was saying that the universe loves sending me free things. And I get out of the massage and I go to the front desk and they said, oh, I'm so sorry, but our computer system went down. There's no way for us to charge you for this massage today. So enjoy. And so I walked out of there laughing because it's the dance that we're doing with the universe. And so we need to set the intentions of what it is that we want to manifest along our pathway.
Plus, free is fun.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But it builds. So start with something. That would be what I would say is start with something. So
Yeah.
you talk about frequency, and that's our sum total of our vibrations, physical, emotional, thoughts, and how we connect spiritually. The sum of our energy, you say, and I agree with you, determines the outcome of relationships, career, and destiny. Would you like to say more on that?
Yeah. Our frequency is what we're going to, I believe, attract in. And so if you're thinking right now in your life that, gosh, I really don't like the job that I have, or I don't like the relationship that I have with my boss at work, I'm just going to go get a different job. Um, I would really ask you to sit and consider first before you do that. What is it about your job or the relationship with your boss that you don't like? Because I think that we end up carrying around who we are with everything that we're doing. And so if we don't get to the root of what we don't like and work on that and heal that within ourselves, then I think we just keep repeating it. And so you might think that the new job is going to be the answer to your prayer requests or your intentions, but then I imagine a few months in or a year in, you go, oh my gosh, this is even worse than the job I had before. Or I'm seeing the
Something, some aspect of it repeats.
Yes. Yeah. And we can even see that with romantic relationships. Maybe all know somebody that has like the same kind of people they date over and over again, but they think that the next person will be the answer, but they don't see that there's actually a pattern, an energetic pattern there. So
Which
we're
is goes
all,
to the
yeah.
creation. We all do that. We're all working to
Yes.
get rid of our patterns right now.
Exactly. And it's such a beautiful time to do that because I think a lot of it is coming up to the surface right now.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and yeah. So anything that you're going through right now where you're like, I wish this was better, I'd say get clear on what that is and then apply that to your life and start changing your thought, your perspective on what it is you want to have. And then you're able to more successfully bring that forward instead of just staying in the same pattern.
Right. And one thing that I've noticed lately is if I say that something's okay or it's fine, that's really a warning that I should change it. It's
I love
okay. It
that.
doesn't bother me. And now I think, oh, yes, it does.
That reminds me of whenever I hear somebody say maybe or I might, I usually say back to them, Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try. And I think that might energy is basically a no. And so I love that you just said that because you can start to really listen to yourself and the words that you're using. And they're going to give you a clue as to what you're not really feeling in alignment with.
Right.
But I don't think you're doing yourself any favors with fine or maybe, because I think in those moments your life is probably asking you to get clearer on
Yeah.
what
It's
it is you
saying
do
you're not
want.
aligned. What do you really want?
Yeah,
Which is way
exactly.
more creative if you want to go a little deeper with it.
Yes. Yes. I love that. So we're all going to be listening to our own thoughts and our own voice and the words that we're using, but they will give us a lot of clues.
Yeah. And you can say, I'll say, you can push through that. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to keep pushing through that. So what am I going to do in the future?
Yeah. I think a lot of us are facing different choices that we're making right now
Mm-hmm.
and in all areas of our life. And we're going through a lot of the Aries energy. There's a lot of activation in Aries right now, and especially over the next few weeks. And so as you're feeling this Aries energy, Aries asks, you know, who are you? Because Aries says, I am, and
Mm-hmm.
fill in the blank. And so as you think about that, I am, and answer that yourself when the next time you're journaling, like I am, and really lean into that and embody that. Aries is really great energy for all of us to really lean into more of that confidence
Yeah.
and know that we are worthy of being here and that we are the leader of our own life. And so we all get blessed with that energy.
And I do think if you decide to recreate or change something, it's pretty quick right now, certainly more so than it has been for the rest of the year.
Yeah, things are moving really, really fast.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be in the holiday season at the end of the year before we know it because it just feels like we're on warp speed right now. But I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it could feel like we have some whiplash by the time we get to the end of the year because things moved so fast. And it can be really easy right now to miss details. And doing grounding meditations, I think those can be really helpful. Connect with a tree or some plants and just
Or
allow
just
yourself
pull
to,
back
yeah,
in your own energy. I
mhm,
try to take an hour to do that, to pull my energy
yeah,
back from all the people I've talked with and all the things I've done. That helps.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Because I think that we can miss details right now. And maybe some people that are listening are already feeling that, or they have an example that comes to mind. And we don't want it to feel like we are going on a roller coaster that's not stopping. And so, just like you said, like calling your energy back into you, I think that that's really important.
And I'll
We
say,
all
slow
need to.
down. Take an hour that life is not moving.
Yes, and maybe put the devices down while you do it,
Yeah.
and just allow yourself to sit and be. When's the last time we sat without any noise? Maybe we do it a little bit more often, but I think the average person out there probably hasn't had any peace or silence outside of sleeping for some time.
Yeah. It helps to turn off the computer, and my phone lives in the bathroom at night. I can't hear it.
That's good.
And I've
Yeah.
learned not to feel it, which is even better.
Hmm. Exactly.
Okay. So, what is destiny to you? How do you define it?
Excellent question. I think our destiny is, in my experience, really thought out even before we were born. I think that we can point to something like our astrology chart, for example, that I think is a blueprint of the energy that we wanted to activate while we were here, and that we can work with our charts to understand things like our purpose, relationship dynamics, what we're really good at or what we could be known for. So I think a lot of those things are already picked out, which I would refer to as destiny. I think a lot of our life has destiny points in it. How we move between the destiny points are more of the free will. There are some people that will argue that everything about our lives was already pre planned and nothing is free will. But I like to think, and it feels energetically to me like there is some free will in it.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. And sometimes our
yeah,
detours are the most valuable things we ever do because we don't want to go do those things again.
exactly. We have I think of it as like symbolically like we're a car on the freeway and we're driving, and sometimes we want to take the exit and go see like that rest stop, or we want to go see that
Hmm.
that souvenir store on the side of the road, and then we eventually get back on the road and we keep going. But I have been shown that we do have things like exit points, which are different points in our journey where we can exit and go back to the other side, but that we have several of those. So I have the feeling that what Spirit's saying to me right now is it feels about 70% of destiny points. 30% is like between these points, but it can vary from person to person
Yeah.
depending on these different detours that they take and how long the detour lasts. But I always feel like Spirit gets us back on the road that we're supposed to be on. Because I get asked from a lot of people regularly, like, what if I make a mistake? What if I'm not supposed to quit that job? Or what if I'm not supposed to move across the country? I always feel like there are treasures in the detours, just like you said.
Hmm.
And if you make a detour that has some bumps in the road, Spirit will give you the opportunity to come back into alignment with the greater path that you can be on. And so it doesn't feel like we have to be in trouble for a long stretch of time, or we don't
Yeah.
have to
The
be
big
in a
thing
hard thing.
is to
Yeah.
find your inner self and connect with that and let it take you wherever it will.
Exactly. Yeah. So um
Maybe that's
yeah.
everybody's destiny in a general sense, or for many people.
Yeah, I think as long as we're connected to that higher self, then we can move through life with greater ease. I think it's when we're not connected, we feel more disconnected to our life or to our higher self, then that could be a clue. And so if you're going through life right now and you're feeling like, gosh, things feel disconnected, then maybe start journaling to your higher self or doing meditations where you're connecting with your higher self. And that may help you feel more in tune with the rhythm of what your higher self has in mind. And your higher self can see 30,000 feet in the air and
Right.
can see where some of these boulders in the road are, and can help you navigate around those and make your life a little bit easier. So higher self work, I think, is really important.
Hmm. And it's also our channel to the universe. When the universe helps us out, it's because we're communing with our higher self or our inner self. That's when it comes in and the things happen that people call miracles.
Mhm. Yeah, we have this ability to get all these divine synchronicities that are sprinkled along our pathways. And so noticing things like feathers and, coins are becoming less and less used, but I do think coins will still be used. They'll just be a little bit more rare. But notice when there's just something kind of out of the ordinary that you're not expecting. Because some people will get repetitive numbers. We talk
Mhm.
about that a lot in the spiritual community,
License
11s.
plates.
Yeah. And so just pay attention to when you get something that feels like it just kind of drops in out of the blue. Because if we're overly looking for something, we could probably find it through the course of
Hmm.
our day. But if we just set the intention that I am connected to my higher self, I'm connected to the universe, and I am shown signs and synchronicities that I am aligned with my higher self in the universe, then you will get those synchronicities. But usually it's the one that's like, funny, like the car cuts you off, right? You're in traffic and a car scoots in front of you, and maybe at first you're like, heck. And then you look at the license plate and you're like, oh, they have like
Yeah.
all these 11s or whatever the number is. So just notice when spirit's like, and here's a sign,
Yeah.
because those are the fun ones.
Those are the most fun. So, what is a quick practical shift to raise our vibration immediately or our frequency?
One thing that we can all do, because we should all be drinking water. I actually like to take a cup of water and I can rub my hands together and put my hands over the cup of water and send whatever the thought or the intention is that I want for the day. So we talked about free things. We talked about tuning into the higher self, getting more signs. So set that intention and imagine that that thought is going through your hands and sending energy into that cup of water. And then you drink the water. And as you're drinking it, you're feeling that intention. And that's something that we could bring into our morning routine very, very easily. And it's a fun way to get some nods from the universe that they hear us, they know that we're asking for those intentions. And
Yeah, it is
just
fun.
something fun, fun and simple.
Yeah, I think fun things are great. Okay, it's time for us to go to break. I'm Julia Griffin at OneTrueSelf.com. I've been talking with Dallisa Hocking, and we're talking about inner spiritual work and self-development and its importance in creating our desires and the reality that we want, which includes abundance. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Gwenum Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. This is not a show just about sex. This is a show about being raw, real, and awake inside the skin you're in. This is about the mess and magnificence of being human through the gateways of intimacy, eros, and what we rarely tell. It's a reckoning with the real, where breath meets bone, where truth undresses us and gasps seep through the cracks. We're not here to behave. We're here to feel, to experience, to grow and expand, not at the convenience of others. It's for the parts of you that have been silenced, ache, grieve, pulse, remember, and forget. We strip it all back. The shame, the scripts, the performative sex, and performative self. We speak the unspoken. We get intimate, not just with bodies, but with truth, gritty and soul-bearing. We explore what it means to live inside, knowing we are going to die, not as someone you were told to be, but as who you really are beneath it all. Imperfect, hungry, sacred, messy, in skin, in soul. Join me at Skin and Soul, Fridays at 10 a.m. PST on Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you struggling with unresolved emotions or recurring patterns? Tune into Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with me, Shannon O'Flaherty, on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we'll explore your own birth experiences and consider how they might be affecting your current life patterns to start your journey towards self-discovery and healing. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.
Gwenham Carsley, transformational body, sex, and soul coach. This is not a show just about sex. This is a show about being raw, real, and awake inside the skin you're in. This is about the mess and magnificence of being human through the gateways of intimacy, eros, and what we rarely tell. It's a reckoning with the real, where breath meets bone, where truth undresses us and gasps seep through the cracks. We're not here to behave. We're here to feel, to experience, to grow and expand, not at the convenience of others. It's for the parts of you that have been silenced.
Welcome back. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm talking with Dallisa Hocking, and we're having a wonderful time, by the way, we're going to go into her predictions in the future and her thoughts about that, and probably a little more if we have time. So stay with us for the next half hour and learn more. So tell us why predictions matter. I love it that you brought that up. And I know you often make or have predictions.
I think predictions in especially the time frame that we're living in right now are helping us to navigate the chaos that I think we're seeing now, but I think it's going to get louder. I think we're going to see more dismantling. So I used to approach predictions where, I could tell you who's going to be president or, what the stock market was going to do. But now Spirit has really put me into this frame of reference where predictions can be helpful in that way only if you do something about it. Meaning, yeah, if
I have
I
the
if
same
I
thought. I call that the malleable future because we can change it. Yeah.
yes, and if there is a prediction about, let's say, the education system dismantling, and you're a teacher and you hear that and you just start going into panic and fear, then what good is that going to do?
It makes it
But
happen.
yeah, and so if you're the teacher hearing that the education system's going to dismantle, then what if you got to sit with it and think about like, ooh, what do I actually like want to do next with this? Like I have all this experience as a teacher. What would I want to birth out into the world? What would I want to create? So I think predictions are actually supposed to get us into our highest frequency and that highest connection to our higher self that we were talking about. And so, if we're listening or consuming predictive content that is creating more fear and panic for us, then maybe it is time to kind of step back from the predictions
Mm-hmm.
and instead go into more of the journaling. I love journaling. And maybe you've heard of this, the book, The Artist's Way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do morning pages. That's what's one of the things suggested in the book. And that is the fastest I have ever shifted out of some kind of doom and gloom energy was doing morning pages, which very simply is 3 blank pages and a pen. And every morning you write until the 3 pages are filled with no journaling prompt and you dump it all out on the pieces of paper. And it is incredibly powerful. So, somebody listening today that's like, what is something I can do to get myself into that higher frequency? Because maybe I do feel disheartened or I feel like the world is falling apart. If I had one thing, I'd say do morning pages. And if I had 2 things, I'd say do morning pages and then do a meditation.
I did that for years and years, and then finally one day I burned them all up and have more to say than what I used to say to myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible practice and very, very simple, but it's giving ourselves permission to really sit with ourselves and see what wants to come out.
I don't usually look ahead, but I was on a summit for, predictions for 2026, and I knew that things would get more chaotic. But on the other side of it, if you start working with your inner self, there is this pool of really deep peace and stillness. And if that's a good enough reason to meditate or work on some of the techniques that we've shared, I would say do it because you will get there. And there are lots of us who feel that pull and we amplify it and send it out to other people. But you have to be in a place you can receive it. But I know that's on the other side.
Yeah, Spirit's shown me something similar with my channelings that the external will look very chaotic, but that there's actually a lot of doors and windows open
Hmm.
for all of us as individuals, that we actually will have a lot of blessings and opportunities for us as individuals, but we have to step into it and claim it.
Right.
And yeah, eventually we get to the other side of the chaos, and then it feels like it's more of a creation and rebuilding phase. But we all have access to that higher form of our life at any point, regardless of what we're going to see in the headlines.
Right. And so I'll read the headlines, I'll think that's interesting, and then like an hour later I'll say, okay, it's time to go into the inner peace.
Yeah, I recently saw, well, last night, the ceasefire as an example of the war in the Middle East. And as soon as I was listening to a live streamer and he says, breaking news, and he cuts in with, here's what this country's saying and this country is saying. And I was like, that's not what's going to happen. Like you could feel it as it was being said, of like, this, whatever they're saying is not what's actually happening. And so I still think there's this part of reality, or the simulation,
Yeah.
um, whatever it is that we're in here, which feels more and more like a simulation, that the news headlines are not really based in reality. And some
No.
people
Uh,
have felt that, for a while now. But it came in real clear last night, because I could feel some people in the collective getting really excited about a ceasefire. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's not what's going to happen here. But again, like taking my own advice, that would have been a great point to shut it off and go take a walk
mhm.
outside, because I think that there are some energies out there that would like to have people in fear,
Yes.
because there's more control that can be had. And so if you start to feel yourself slipping into that energy, you may be in a frequency where it could be easier to control you. And I don't know of anybody that really wants to be controlled at the end of the day. So I think we're in a really fascinating time period where we are breaking ourselves free of control and manipulation.
Hmm.
And that is a powerful place to be, because once we all really break free of that, then we can really do whatever it is that we want to birth out into the world.
And you were talking about different levels of collective consciousness. So if you go down to fear, you're going into the mass subconscious, which is like a collective of grief, fear, anger, the lowest emotions on the planet. If you can get up just a little, you'll come out of it. If you can meditate, you won't feel so much of it.
Exactly. The meditation will help, as you just said, lift you up. And Spirit saying in my ear, to mention that anyone that feels like they're literally tripping over things, or they feel scattered, you may be too far out of your body, and you may want to ground in. So Spirit's saying connecting with the higher frequencies, which is great, but also at the same time remembering that you're in a human body and doing the grounding with the connection, and that you'll have greater results with that.
Oh, definitely. Because most people don't talk about it, but I will. If you get intuitive energy, you're going to feel it in your emotions and your physical body. So, what happens if you're above your physical body and your emotions? You're going to miss your messages.
You will miss them. And the body gives us such incredible wisdom for ourselves. I've also had experiences over the last decade doing mediumship, where a person has passed away, and from the other side, they will often make me feel in my physical body something that was connected to their death, or something that they had towards the end of their life that was a part of their physical body. So I'm a huge fan of giving gratitude to our body and what our body does for us each and every day. But it really is an important ingredient with psychic development and with hearing our own intuitive messages, our body is giving us signs and signals. And so it's important that we pay attention to those.
Because I mean, think about the thrill, like when you connect perfectly, or you know you have the truth for someone, or you feel angels or light. That's physical. Think about when the hair on your body stands up. That's a message. Or you're
It,
cold or you're warm. All those things are messages. And
they
we live,
really are.
you
Yeah.
know, we
And
live in our society where we just see people with a lot of makeup and a bikini on. That's not really telling you how to get in there.
yes. And noticing even more specifically where on your body you're feeling things,
Mm-hmm.
because I've noticed it's a part of our psychic dictionary. And so if you have the hair on the back of your neck stand up, that could mean one kind of indication. If you're feeling chills come up your arms, that could be a different kind.
Right.
If you're feeling it up your legs, a different kind. So, again, how do you know which is which? Just notice, start keeping a journal. And it can be your psychic dictionary. And you can write down, I had chills on the back of my neck today. And then write down by the end of the day, like what happened that day? Why do you think you got those chills on the back of your neck? So, start trying to correlate the sounds, the feelings, things that you may be seeing like a daydream or in your mind's eye, and correlate that back to what ended up happening that day. And that'll help to also build that bridge so you can understand what spirit's trying to tell you, because it's like playing a game of Pictionary, and they're
Mhm.
likely going to use the same feelings and sights and sounds over and over and over again throughout your life,
Until you get
because
it.
until you get it. And then every time you experience that, now you know what it is that they're trying to get you to understand.
Right. And it is more interesting. I can remember as a child, my parents always loved to visit old relatives and old ladies and that kind of thing. And some of the people I would say, I don't want to go in because it smells bad. And they would say, there's nothing in there that smells bad, but it was the psychic energy.
Yes, that's clair alienance. So clear smelling. I had one instance where, because I don't typically have a sense of smell in my human body,
Hmm.
but on occasion I'll smell something. And I remember one day I was driving across town. It was when I was living in Las Vegas. And early on, when I started doing group readings, and I was driving across town, and I asked Spirit on my way to a group reading, give me a message that I can share because I want to go in with a piece of information. And I started in my mind's eye as I'm driving down the freeway seeing popcorn. And I thought, oh no, I can't go in there and talk about popcorn. That's ridiculous. And wouldn't you know, after a few minutes of me kind of arguing back and forth with Spirit, I started smelling popcorn in my car. And I thought, okay, fine, I'll go in and talk about popcorn. I go in, I'm standing there introducing myself. And I said, listen, I got to talk about what happened on the way here. And I described what I just said. And as soon as I said popcorn, I actually felt a cat that was deceased rub up against my leg. These two women start crying that I'd never met before. And they said they were sisters. One of them was at home one night making popcorn in her popcorn machine with her husband. They went to bed. The popcorn machine lit on fire, burned their house down, and killed their cat.
Oh, wow.
And from that moment, I will never doubt anything that spirit brings through, because I know that spirit doesn't waste a message. And so if they're going to bring something through, even if it's as ridiculous as popcorn, it wasn't ridiculous to those sisters that were there, and they knew exactly what I was talking about. And as we practice developing our own intuition, I think it's important not to judge what it is that's coming forward for ourselves, or if we are reading a stranger, because it can be one word that changes everything.
If you're driving and you hear left or right, do it. Don't worry about why you're getting the message, just do it. Because I did spend about 2 or 3 months at one point circling back to see why. And it was always a great message and a really important reason for me to go in that way. I never even question it now.
Yes, I think that there's always a beautiful higher power that is helping to keep us on the path that is in the highest, vibration for us.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that can be that you need to see something that you hadn't seen before on that drive,
Right.
or you avoided an accident. It's called the burnt toast theory, I've heard it referred to, where in the morning, let's say you're making toast and you're getting ready to go to work, but oh crap, you burnt the toast. And so you decide you're going to make more toast. Well, in that process, you've delayed yourself leaving the house
Mm-hmm.
by a few more minutes, and you just missed something that could have been catastrophic for you on your journey. So remembering that there are moments when things don't go how you want them to go, but they're ultimately leading you to some place that spirit wants you to be. And that could be avoiding something.
And that's a big lesson for all of us.
The trust, the
Yeah.
trust in the flow, because a lot of people, and I used to be a total control freak, a lot of people feel more comfortable when they feel like they are in control, but control is really an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get really good at just remembering that the universe has your back, that you can flow, you can go with the flow, you can trust your intuition, your life will be so much easier if you try to give up the illusion of control.
With anything that you can do, everything seems to get better throughout the day. And that, I mean, if we let go of it within ourselves and the outer world is kind of trying to inflict that on us, it would tend to make it go away faster, or that's my belief.
I think once we make our minds up and we create a new story about what our
Mm.
life is and what each day is going to be, then I think we start changing things really fast for ourselves. You know, I heard somebody say that they wake up in the morning and they have the thought, the intention that today is going to be the best day of my life. And somebody could modify that and say, what if
Mm-hmm.
today is the best day of my life? Because when we have that as the belief, the underlying foundation of what we do, we are expecting the universe to respond kindly and in a way that's favorable to us. And so we have that as our mindset and our belief, we will attract that in.
We're putting out that vibration.
Mhm.
And then another thing for those of you who want to manifest something, please don't worry about how. Just see it coming in. The how can be completely wild.
And usually is.
I know. It's usually
Yeah.
something you would never, ever expect.
And I also like getting very clear on what it is you're manifesting, because some people may manifest the $2,000 to buy a laptop, but what they really need is the laptop. So I
Yeah.
would say practice the manifestation as seeing the laptop coming in. Now, if you really want to manifest a dollar amount, I would just say the caveat there is get really specific about what you would spend the money on once you manifest that dollar amount in. So you can do it both ways, but I think it's really fun to try to manifest
The
the
object,
actual thing.
the outcome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one client who always wanted to live in a really huge house, but it meant that her husband got a job far away, but she got the big, beautiful house. And she never could have dreamed up that all that was going to happen. We just focused on the house.
Yeah, the universe works in mysterious ways,
Mm-hmm.
and it can bring you what it is that you're looking for. I always say there's three steps to manifesting. One is you have to know what it is you're manifesting. You have to get specific. Number two is you have to know that you're worthy of having it. That's where a lot of people, I think, get kind of hiccuped with it. I see that in lotto winners. They lose all the money after they win it. It's like they
Right.
can't hold on to it. There's something with worthiness in there. And then the third one is you have to co create it with the universe. So, for example, if you're like, oh, yeah, I want to be in a committed, romantic, amazing
That's what I was going to
relationship.
say, a
Yeah.
boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're clear on it. You got it all down. You know you're worthy of it, but you sit at home and you're waiting for somebody to, I don't know, knock at your door one day. Like, can it happen? Maybe like one in a billion, right? But this is about you co-creating. So you also need to step into your own life and give the universe opportunities to open doors for you.
And so give them some examples of that, because not everyone is going to understand that.
With opening the doors for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you are, let's use the example of the person looking for the relationship and you're sitting at home, you got steps 1 and 2 down. I would say, like, go out and actually have fun. Go out with your friends. Go sign up for classes. If you love history, why don't you go to the library and attend like a lecture, a history lecture? You have to put yourself in a position of your own life where you are giving the universe more opportunities to bring you the result you're actually looking
Mm-hmm.
for. So if you're looking for a job, a new job, okay, first understand why you want to leave the one you have now. And then, great, you've got the clarity, you know, you're worthy of a better job. Then, are you going to networking events? Are you sending your
Applying for
resume?
jobs.
Right. You have to put yourself in the path of the highest probability. And it just works out easier that way. And as you're doing the actions, you're seeing that outcome that you still have in your mind and in your heart about what it is you're going to attract in, what you're going to achieve. So you have that along the way. But as you're doing each step, you're just reaffirming, like, yep, this is mine. I got
Mm-hmm.
this. And I would not necessarily, when it comes to jobs and relationships, for example, I would not be set on a specific job title or a specific person, because I think we get trapped in that. And I think the universe can oftentimes bring us something better
I do too.
than that person or that job. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would get more specific about what it feels like when you're on a date with them, what
Right.
it feels like when you're sitting at your new desk at the new job. I would have those be more of the anchors rather than it
The
has
other
to
way.
be John Smith that
Right.
lives in Kentucky. Like, I would not do that. But what is it you like about John Smith that you want him to be the person? Get clearer on that and then attract in from that knowingness rather than trying to make John your own.
Yeah. Pull him out of wherever he is and into your life, which he probably isn't going to like anyway.
Yeah. And usually when I look at someone's energy around a relationship and they say, like, oh, is so and so going to be with me? I usually just sit there and think, well, do you really want to be with them? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
isn't the relationship happening?
Right.
There's likely something in there that is preventing it from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And do you love yourself enough? Have you tried to, are you settling?
Right.
So there's so many pieces to the layers of energy with the two examples that were used with the job and the relationship.
Yeah, because it can be past life. It can be people coming together to have children, but that's it. There are lots of different things that it can be.
Yeah, just don't settle.
Yeah.
Don't settle. And there's all different kinds of resources and teachers and books that you can read that will help you with confidence and self-worth. I would seek out those resources. I read a ton of books. I think that those are incredibly helpful. The Four Agreements is one I often talk about, especially the chapter on not taking things personally, because I think a lot of people take a lot of things personally and they live their life feeling like they're living for other people. And so I think one of the first steps to confidence is not taking what anyone says, good or bad, about you personally, because they're just saying it to you through their own filter of life. So that's a book I usually recommend to get people
That's a
started.
great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
But
really is.
yeah, there's all different kinds of books for different people and what they're going through in their life. And they can always message me through my website if they're like, hey, what would be a book you'd recommend for this? And I'm happy to weigh in on it.
Oh, we're coming to the end now. So will you tell everyone where they can find you, your website?
Yes, everything is over at spiritandspark.com, all spelled out, spiritandspark.com. My socials are on there. I share a lot of predictions on there. There's also a free 10-minute reset audio on my website. You'll see it as soon as you get on there, and you can download it to your own device. And I created it for the people who want the reset, the quick reset, and have it like on their phone, for example, so they can listen to it when they feel like they just need to ground to get centered again. So go and grab that. That's completely free over on my website.
Great. And thank you so much for being with us. I've enjoyed it intensely. I
Me
appreciate
too.
it.
It
So
was
much
amazing.
fun.
Thanks, Julia. I really enjoyed the conversation.
It was great. So, for anyone who's listening, you can go over to my website and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll receive tips about the energetic weather, wolves, and just what I'm thinking if you'd like to have that, as well as classes and other things. So, thank you so much for being with me. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.